Hey guys, what's up? Peekaboo25 here, and oh goodness, I haven't recorded for such a while. I really haven't. But today I'm uploading my late Halloween special. This was intended to be for Halloween, but you know, Halloween, lots of festivities. The few days before that I tried to record a few days beforehand, but I had a tight schedule and little to no time to record. And I couldn't get it all in quality done. So it's like this is my only available time that I can get it within the Halloween area. It's like, you know what? Halloween, Day of the Dead. Let's look back at all the dead attractions at Six Flags Great America, my home park. As you know, well, I feel like one of the most intriguing things about a amusement park is probably its history and the deceased rides and how many of these rides don't exist anymore. Their whole species have been wiped out. Here we go. Our first one is the golf coaster. Yes, a coaster immediately. And this thing only survived for one season. The reason being it was very unpopular. It was not popular at all, and actually it was a very big fire hazard. Several fires broke out on this coaster. Therefore, Marriott's Great America, yes, it was owned by Marriott at the time. It just wasn't valuable to them anymore. I have no idea what currently sits in its plot of land, but, you know, golf coaster, it's gone. Next up is Spinnaker. I have no idea what this is. I couldn't find any good pictures of it. This was a Rubrits Roundup. I have no idea what this is, like I said. But all I really do know is that it was removed in order to make room for Tidal Wave, which you will see later. Next up is Davy Jones' Dinghies. Basically picture the Whirligig, or the Wave Swinger, or whatever at the park, and just picture that you're floating around a pirate ship. It's actually still made today, but more as a kiddie attraction than a full-size Whirligig attraction. So it's called an Intamin Flying Dutchman. It's actually located in a pedestal inside a Traffique Jam, which you will see a little later from now. Bottoms up, a Chance Rides Trabant, which, you know, this whole species actually got renovated to the Chance Rides Wipeout. The picture on the bottom is, I think, of a Trabant. But basically, I have no idea how to describe this. It kind of, you have to look at a off-ride to describe itself, but look up Rodeo at Hershey Park, Joker's Wildcard Six Flags New England, or Wipeout at Knott's Berry Farm for decent examples of what this ride was like. And this ride was replaced when the orbit was relocated from a different area of the park. And the orbit, by the way, was an Enterprise. It's still there today. Next up is Southern Cross, a Von Roll Skyride. Frequent mechanical issues were prevalent in both Skyrides, whether it be this one or the next one, which you'll see like literally in the next slide. And this thing traveled through Orleans Place, which Orleans Place at the time actually consisted of Mardi Gras and maybe even Carousel Plaza. I mean, it was weird now if I went there that everything in the front of the park was Orleans Place except Hometown Square. And yet again, frequent mechanical issues. There were quite a few things. There were several incidences where people had to be recovered from the sky cars with cherry pickers by the local fire department. And that was why it was removed in 1983. And its sibling, the Eagles Flight / Delta Flyers, were removed in 1984. It opened a year earlier and closed a year later. It was a longer sky ride that traveled basically between the length of American Eagle and Superman, if you know the park's layout. It basically cut above the air there. It was definitely the large sky ride, but both sky rides are now extinct and they now don't have any. I think the closest sky ride you can find is probably Cedar Point from Great America. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Cedar Point that you can find the nearest sky ride from Illinois. Another one was Ferris Wheel. You know, just a Ferris Wheel. It was really tight on land. It really did not have much space to live. And it's actually in the spot where Goliath, Iron Wolf, and now back then, Z-Force was. And it was removed for Z-Force. And that was opened in 1985. And the next one is Traffique Jam. An Aero Antique Cars. They actually had two of those at the time. This one was removed much earlier to make room for the water ride, Roaring Rapids, which was a whitewater rapids ride, like the one where you're in a round boat, like 12 people, and there's water guns and torrents everywhere. And you get really wet on that ride. I really enjoyed it on a 90-degree day in July. All of the lines like 45 minutes to an hour. Yankee Clippers like 2 hours though. Don't even ask me on that one. Next up is Industrial Revolution / Hilltopper. It had 2 different names, and I had no idea what this ride was until I looked at the gravestone and it said Industrial Revolution at Great America. But I didn't really know. Was it an era at the time? But no, it was actually a ride. It was a Himalaya that functioned in County Fair. In a Himalaya, you can even see your local traveling carnival, pretty much. So it wasn't anything too special. It was removed after 4 years, most likely. Next up is the Intamin first generation drop tower, The Edge. Oh my goodness. I know some people really like their first generation Intamin drop towers, except this one had a major accident, one of the worst in recorded Great American histories. The anti-rollback mechanism on the first, like the lift hill, if you know anything about Intamin first generation drop towers, then you're old. Or you're very knowledgeable. I didn't even know what they were until recently, when I looked at a POV of Demon Drop at Dorney Park. But this was basically the same concept. You go up a lift hill in a box, but then the lift hill snapped and it rolled back, injuring 3 teenagers. It was relocated to a small park called Rocky Point in Rhode Island, but that park shut down due to lack of business and bankruptcy. And then it was moved to Geauga Lake in 1997, and then when Geauga Lake closed, it was scrapped in 2005. But Geauga Lake technically still operates as a water park only in central Ohio. Next up is Z-Force. This ride was basically a prototype. It's an Intamin space diver. It's basically the most unsuccessful type of coaster. This is the only one ever made. It was bounced between 3 parks, where it only had really success in one. This lasted 2 years here. It was relocated to Six Flags Over Georgia in the same name. I think it lasted between 2 to 4 years. I think it was removed in like 91. And then it was relocated to Six Flags Magic Mountain in like the early 90s. And they decided in 2007 they were planning on relocating it to a different area of the park, but they ended up scrapping it instead. And this ride, I would have loved to ride it. I really would have. I mean, based on the line there, it looks packed. Currently, it was removed. Iron Wolf used to sit in its spot, but now Goliath. Next up is Yukon Yahoo. I have absolutely no idea what this ride is. But what it is, it's a Schwarzkopf-Bayern curve located in Yukon territory. That's really all I know. Yeah. And I had the tombstone there. And they're at the Six Saints Cemetery. I think it's out of date, though. I don't know. Next up is Tidal Wave. And Schwarzkopf Shuttloo. Basically an extinct species by now. Really, the first one that comes into my head is Moctezuma's Revenge at Not Berry Farm. It was removed to make room for Batman the Ride in 1991. But instead of being scrapped, it was relocated to Six Flags Over Georgia as Viper, and it failed. Then it was relocated to Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom a few years after being at Six Flags Over Georgia. And, Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom is no more. It's just Kentucky Kingdom after they renovated the park a couple of years ago. It operated there as Greased Lightning. It was scrapped to make room for Lightning Run at the new Kentucky Kingdom. Next up is the Hometown and Orleans Straight Railway Trolley Cars. Such a long name. But you know what those grooves... If you've ever been to Great America, you know what those grooves are for. Like in Hometown Square, behind the Carousel and Carousel Plaza, and throughout the entirety of Orleans Place, and even into Mardi Gras. This attraction, it operated to the public since the park's opening to 1996. Now it's only used for the grand finale parades, or the Uprising parade that I actually attended, which was actually really underwhelming. I was really expecting more, but it's Six Flags, and I'll cover that rant on a different day. Next up is Rolling Thunder, an intimate Swiss bobsled ride that was relocated from Six Flags Great Adventure. This is one of the few coasters where it was not originally built at the park and relocated. It's actually relocated from Six Flags Great Adventure, like I said. It operated here, I think towards the spot of, behind Demon, where Southwest Territory is now. Southwest Territory didn't exist back then. It existed right as it closed, like where Viper and Raging Bull is now. And, well, it got relocated to Six Flags Great Escape in 1996, where it still operates as Alpine bobsleds. Another one, Cajun Cliffhanger. We jumped 4 years now, and this thing has been operating since the beginning of the park's creation to 2000. It was a Chance Rides rotor. Just picture one of those UFO traveling carnival rides, except the walls don't move up and down, and the floor drops from underneath you, and you're like a few feet underground. My mother went on this, and she absolutely hated it. There was a minor accident that injured a couple people in 2000, and therefore, due to pending lawsuits, it was removed. And now Jester's Wild Ride, basically, it's actually more of a horror ride to me, because you got a jester staring you down. But I'll probably save that rant for another day. Jester's Wild Ride is just located in its footprint. Wasn't a very big ride. Next up is Hey Baler, a recognizable name in Great American history. It was a Mack Rides Matterhorn. I do not know what the difference between a Matterhorn and a Himalaya is, because I know they're very similar. But, it was one of those. You can probably find a Matterhorn or a Himalaya or something at the Traveling Carnival, and it was removed on top of Sky Whirl to make room for Deja Vu, which, conveniently up next, is Sky Whirl. An Intamin triple Ferris wheel. And if anyone has seen an old picture of Great America, you can see this thing in the skyline. This was the most famous flat ride at Great America. A lot of people were upset when it was removed. And I never got the chance to ride this thing, because, I think it was removed when I was born, or so, like when I was only a few years old. And it was removed for Deja Vu alongside Hey Baler. And this thing probably is missed by so many, but it's been 15 years now. Power Dive, an Intamin looping starship. It was actually very popular among Six Flags parks when it was constructed, but they had lots of maintenance issues. Now it's now replaced by King Chaos. As you can see by the picture, it's basically a river rocker or any other Viking ship, and it goes upside down a few times. Next up is Shockwave, and oh my goodness, this one is a story to tell. This was the first ever coaster to go upside down 7 times, and it was only one of 3 aerodynamics mega loopers ever made. The only one that still stands right now is Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain, and Great American Scream Machine at Six Flags Great Adventure was torn down in 2010 to make room for Green Lantern. Basically, the long story short, they said in 2002 that they were going to tear down the Wizard to make room for Superman Ultimate Flight, which they didn't know it was going to be Superman Ultimate Flight at the time. However, a large amount of public outcry abruptly changes Six Flags Great America's mind, and this was scrapped, and this was the final decision. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And there's some people that are still mourning the loss of this to this day. Some people love Shockwave and think it was absolute blasphemy that it was removed. It really a lot of people loved it, but not a lot of people. A lot of people hated it. It's really one of the most controversial decisions in Great American history. Next up is Ameri-Go-Round. It's basically a smaller carousel located at the back of the park. It's Revolution, the indoor-facing Huss Frisbee, sits there to this day. But it's actually still in storage in the employee parking lot. So maybe we could see this thing get a return? Maybe not. Probably not. Next up is Trailblazer. The page I looked at said it was a Zamperla Joker, but I personally think it's more of a flying carpet type of ride. I don't know. But it was removed after being deemed unsafe to ride. It had multiple safety issues in the way it was built. So it was removed in 2006. I think it was located in Southwest Territory. Where maybe where the Manslaughter Manor is, I think. I mean, I could see the demon in the background of the photo, towards the bottom left. So it probably is it's not where Ricochet was. So I'm pretty sure Ricochet was there before Trailblazer. But maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's where like the Cold Stone Creamery or the Manslaughter Manor is right now for the Fright Fest. I don't know. I'm going on to this too long. Splash Waterfalls, a Hopkins shoot the chute, and if they have this ride is very popular, kind of like Snake River Falls and the Torrent Rapid at Noah's Ark. It's just a name a few in the Midwest region. And for those who don't know, it sent a large boat that can contain like I don't know, a few dozen people, 2 dozen people in there. And when it went down a hill, it created a huge wave that hit people standing on a certain bridge. It was removed due to age and was suffering a lack of popularity for other water rides, like Roaring Rapids, Slogger's Run, and especially Yankee Clipper. Yankee Clipper is one of the most popular water rides there. Next up, Deja Vu, and this ride was here when I first went to Great America. However, I was only at Great America for the water park. Yeah, I wasn't a roller coaster person when I first went. I was a huge water park junkie, but I really wish I could have rode this thing. But then again, I probably wasn't tall enough. This was a Vekoma giant inverted boomerang that opened in 2001, and it was plagued with maintenance issues from day one. You were really lucky to cinch a ride in this thing. It was relocated to Silverwood, a smaller theme park out in the west. I forget what state. I think it's like Utah or Montana or something, somewhere around there. And I know it's in the west, like the less popular region of the west, not like Washington, Oregon, and California. It's more like Colorado or Utah or Montana. But yeah, this was removed as Aftershock in Silverwood in 2007. And next up is Bugs Bunny National Park, aka various kid rides. This was basically the highlight attraction alongside of Loggers Run in Yukon territory. Their Camp Cartoon and Little Dipper currently have the spots of these rides. There was a mini train, a ball pit, and 4 kiddie rides themed around various Looney Tunes characters. Like there was one to Pepe Le Pew, Petunia, Skunk or whatnot, Porky, Sylvester, and then the train ride was like a rip-off of Mount Rushmore or something. I don't know. But these rides were all just done. They left in 2009 and 2010. However, the Porky's Fuzzy Beads, which actually was operating in Yankee Harbor during the time that East River Crawler was under heavy maintenance and was down for the entire season. However, East River Crawler is actually up and running. Next up is the Great America Raceway. Another set of aero antique cars. Just like Traffique Jam, they're basically the same thing. This one was located in a county fair towards the back of the park. X-Flight stands at its current spot. I actually remember this thing. I remember that when I used to go on Eagle all the time, I used to pass over a bridge. This thing would go around, and it was huge. It was a huge raceway. But I love X-Lite. It was a good addition, but not my favorite ride there. I'm a Raging Bull for life person. Next up is, oh my goodness, this one, I cry every time, really. Iron Wolf. For me, this was one of the most beloved coasters I was ever moved at my home park. I love the maroon or brown color scheme. I love the fact that it was in the woods. It was very intense. It was it was their very first coaster. It was a B&M stand-up, which actually was more of a squat-down coaster for me. But I don't squat down anymore. But when I went on Georgia Scorcher, which actually is a very similar layout to this, in August, I actually stood up, and I really enjoyed the Scorcher. So I want to go back to Maryland and ride this, where it now operates as Six Flags, where it operates as Apocalypse, which really doesn't have the same ring to it. It surely has some fire and some decent theming around it, but I don't like that it doesn't have that in the woods feel. Goliath currently stands in its spot. It's like, seriously, I miss this thing. Rest in peace, Iron Wolf, 1990 to 2011. You will be missed by me. Ragin Cajun, the final ride, the most recent ride that was removed, and the only ride that has no other ride in its footprint, Like, literally, it's only used as an entrance to the gates of hell and Necropolis when it was removed, which was various Fright Fest attractions. It was a Zamperla spinning wild mouse that was sure to give the local chiropractor a lot of tips, because you were thrown up against the back of the train. It wasn't very comfortable, but it was still kind of fun. I'm just not a huge fan of the spinning wild mouses. I prefer the traditional ones, dare I say it. Both of the wild mouses they had here sucked. Dark Knight and this one here. It was relocated to Six Flags America as well at the end of 2013, and I actually predict I predict a super loop to go in its footprint in 2017. Because, you know, Six Flags loves working with Larson more than anyone else. And that, my friends, was the history of Six Flags Great America from 1997 to 2015. However, I will say that I did not count the Southwest Amphitheater, other showrooms, and the Space Shuttle America. So I did not count them because they were more show or entertainment-based ones rather than rides. I was really debating whether to include Space Shuttle America, because it would have gone right between it probably would have gone between Trailblazer and Bugs Bunny National Park, somewhere between here, and just here, because it was removed in 2007. Currently, Riptide Bay stands in Space Shuttle America's spot, but I didn't give it a whole slide because I remember it being there, but it was never popular, never operating. And I remember when I was there, I always thought it was disaster transport at Cedar Point, but I was really wrong after doing some research. I actually went on disaster transport in 2010. I enjoyed it, but I don't remember anything about it. But Gatekeeper is definitely worth removing disaster transport. So yeah, that's a history of Six Flags Great America in a nutshell, and I really enjoy the history of parks. And I hope to bring the history of a larger park possibly next Halloween, or if I'm in a dark mood or something. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do next. Maybe some reviews of coasters at like Great America or something, or might do another park battle. I'm thinking, yeah, I might do another park battle next, like Six Flags America versus Six Flags St. Louis, which, that'll be fun. But yeah, I'll see you next time I do a video. Don't know when that'll be. Maybe over Thanksgiving break, maybe a bit earlier than that. So I actually make the PowerPoint or Keynote, because I actually have a Mac that doesn't have Microsoft Office. I make this several days ahead, but I just can't find the time to record. It's like, yep, happy late Halloween, you know, it's November 1st. At least I didn't upload it in freaking December for Halloween. So I'm not that much of a procrastinator, or I don't have that little time. But yeah, this is an official goodbye. Happy late Halloween, guys. I hope you enjoyed your Halloween. Got lots of candy if you were one of the younger ones into this. And I really hope you scared some people, got some good scares. Just generally had a good time. And as always, I wish you guys peace.